Just how suable are you? You finally got some momentum, listeners tuning in, your downloads are growing. Maybe you've landed a few sponsors. Maybe you're earning some income from your podcast and your content. And then it happens. You open your email and boom, there's a cease and desist letter, or you get notified about a DMCA takedown, or maybe worse, maybe you've been named in a lawsuit. And suddenly all of that hard work, everything you've built is under threat. Your content, your reputation, your income. So how suable are you? Well, that's what we're digging into today on Legit Podcast Pro. Hey there, I'm Gordon Firemark. I'm the podcast lawyer, and this is Legit Podcast Pro, where we help creators to build media brands that are protected, profitable, and professional. In today's episode, a little bit of a reality check. We're going to explore the kinds of situations that lead content creators into legal trouble. We'll look at a few very real, very current examples, including a big one involving Ethan Klein and a bunch of reaction video streamers that he's suing. And then I will walk you through how to avoid this kind of trouble and what to do and not to do if you do find yourself on the receiving end of some kind of legal action. So first up, let's talk about what lands creators in legal hot water, because it happens more than you might think. Here are the top risk categories. First off is copyright infringement. Using copyrighted music, video clips, images, or entire pieces of content without permission will surely get you some trouble. Trademark violations, like using another brand's name or logo in a misleading way, or worse, as the title of your show, something like that. Defamation or invasion of privacy, when you say or publish something that hurts a person's reputation or reveals private information about them, they might come after you. And then there are right of publicity violations, when you're using someone's name, image, or voice in a commercial way that suggests some kind of an endorsement or without their permission. And there are contract disputes, of course, when you're working with co-hosts and editors and guests without a clear written agreement. That can lead to trouble. And, of course, unfair business practices, things like undisclosed sponsorships or violations of the endorsement guidelines or disclosure rules from the FTC. Government investigations over things like taxes, advertising claims, illegal sweepstakes. And here's a very recent and relevant example. Ethan Klein from H3H3 Productions has just flipped the script. Now, he's known years ago, he successfully defended his own use of reaction video clips as fair use. But now he's on the other side of the courtroom. In June, he sued 3 Twitch streamers by the names of Denims, Frogan, and Caseytron for airing his video content nuke, Hassan Piker, almost in full, with very little added commentary. Yes, they had their face on screen in the picture-in-picture or something, but one of them allegedly just let the video play silently while he continued to scroll Reddit, and another literally got up and went to the bathroom and left things running. Another, well, that lawsuit alleges that she was actually unconscious for parts of it. One of them was taking bong hits during the recording, those kinds of things. So now they are facing copyright infringement claims in federal court, over the question of whether or not this is really fair use. It's not just about content. It's about money and rights and career and reputation. So how would you avoid becoming that next defendant? Well, let's talk about some misunderstandings that can cause trouble. So a lot of creators get sued or get close to being sued because they believe things that simply aren't true. Here are some of the most dangerous myths. One, well, if it's online, it's free to use. No, that's not how it works. Copyright applies whether content is behind a paywall or not. This comes up with images, it comes up with sound clips, audio clips, that kind of thing. Here's another misconception. I'm just a small creator, no one will care. Well, that may be true right up until the moment when someone does care, especially if your video pulls viewers away from theirs, or your podcast pulls audio listeners, or says something negative about them and they want to get it taken down. Hey, I didn't use the whole song or clip, just a little. That's another misconception. Well, that doesn't automatically make it fair use. Fair use is a complicated defense to infringement cases, and it's not something you can rely on just because it's only a small clip. Okay, another one, it's just for entertainment, not for profit. Now, the law doesn't care whether you're making money. This still matters. The law cares that you are possibly taking money out of the original creator's pocket. And if there's a market for the original or harm to the value of the original, there you go. Fair use protects me no matter what. That's just not true. Fair use is a defense, not a right, and it only applies in very specific situations. In Klein's lawsuits, the streamers are going to argue that their reactions, blank stares, vape breaks, and background noise were enough to count as commentary, but the lawsuit pleads otherwise. Klein argues that these other streamers, they weren't transformative. They were just copies, rebroadcasts, substitute viewing experiences that really sort of pulled views away from the original work, kind of out of spite if you listen to what they had to say. And that brings us to this: understanding fair use the right way. As I said before, fair use is not a get out of jail free card. No, it's a complex legal doctrine based on 4 factors: the purpose and character of the use, whether you're adding new meaning or just republishing things. Number 2 is the nature of the original work. The third is the amount and substantiality of what you've used. And number 4 is the effect on the market for or value of the original. Now, Klein's previous fair use case was Hosseinzadeh versus Klein. That succeeded because the video he made was heavily edited. It included frequent pauses in the stream while Klein added his genuine commentary and critique to what was happening. In contrast, these new lawsuits are about Twitch streamers who didn't pause the videos, they didn't comment in any meaningful way, and they didn't add anything at all. According to the lawsuit, there was no transformation, so no fair use. Klein calls this lazy reaction video. And that's really a distinction. If you want to use someone else's content, you need to genuinely transform it. Real commentary, parody, analysis, critique, those things can be transformative. But just reacting with a shrug or taking a hit on your cigarette or whatever, that might not be enough. So how can you keep your content and your business safe? Well, here's a little checklist for you. First off, get written agreements from your guests, your co-hosts, and your collaborators. Always. It's like safe sex. Use a contract every single time. That's the only way you can be sure you're not going to get infected with this legal liability. Number 2, use licensed content or create your own. Don't rip off from YouTube or Spotify or other podcast hosts and things. Number 3, understand fair use and don't rely on it unless you've truly transformed the original work. Do that deep analysis. Look at all 4 of those factors. If you need to, talk to somebody like myself to make sure you're on safe ground. I don't know what number we're on. I think it's number 5 now. Disclose sponsored content clearly every single time. Follow those FTC guidelines on disclosures about sponsored or endorsement kinds of connections. Avoid defamation. Stick to facts and opinion, not personal attacks. And consider setting up an LLC to keep your podcast separate from your personal or other business assets and liability. You can also get insurance. Media liability coverage could be a lifesaver for you, but be careful. Be careful with AI tools, especially. Don't let a bot publish things that you can't legally stand behind. So you've got to do the legwork of fact-checking, verification, finding multiple sources, that kind of thing. Now, what do you do if you do get a cease and desist letter or a DMCA takedown or a lawsuit of some sort, something like that? So let's say it does happen. You get that threatening letter, that notice or court papers. What you should do and not do. Okay, do not panic. Don't go posting or publicly ranting about this. That could all be used against you if you're not careful. Don't just delete your content right away. That could be seen as destroying evidence, and it might be construed as an admission of some responsibility. And also, don't assume that you're in the right. Fair use, as I've said, isn't automatic. You need to be able to back it up legally. So do save everything, all your records, everything you might have, emails, files, metadata, timestamps. Do pause monetization or distribution of the content in question if you can. Make it unlisted or private or something like that if it's YouTube, or just depublish, set it in draft mode or something like that if it's an audio thing. Consult a lawyer. Absolutely. That's a big do. Do it as soon as possible. Time is money in these situations, and you usually only have a very limited amount of time to respond to these things. Do consider a formal response, especially if you do have legitimate defenses. And please, don't just threaten to withhold payment or block access to things unless your contract clearly allows it. That's a whole other lawsuit waiting to happen. So here's the bottom line. If you're creating content, you are running a business. And businesses, just like everybody else, can be sued. The best defense you can have is knowing and understanding the law and following it to the best of your ability, using well-crafted contracts that are tailored to your situation, and protect your rights, especially the intellectual property kinds, copyrights, trademarks, and trade secrets. And above all, be proactive. Start with this simple but powerful move. Practice Safe Guest. Download my free podcast guest release agreement at podcastrelease.com because getting consent in writing protects you from all kinds of future problems. Seriously, use it every single time. And check out my frequent webinars. You can find out more about my webinars for podcasters and register for the next one if you go to podcastlaw.net. That's what it is, podcastlaw.net. So that's it for today. I will see you in about a week on the next episode of Legit Podcast Pro. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you real soon.